Happens every time we get to talking about the money. You guys keep trying to present the spiritualness and, all this sort of virtue signaling, and, there's other ways to define manhood and be a man, and it's not about what you produce, and it's not about what you provide and all that, right? And all that's going to lead is right into the area of why black women should respect you in the first place.
They should respect you in the first place because you're a goddamn human being, right? I've said it before. I can go down to Guatemala, get a Hispanic woman, a Guatemalan woman out of a tin shack, dirt poor, has more respect for her men, more respect for her man, and more respect for herself than a black woman that's middle class. It's not about the money. It's about how you're raised and how you're cultured. I got, I work across the street, down the street from a liquor store, right? And you have a girl, a woman, and her boyfriend, right? They both work in the same liquor store. She has way more respect for him, and he's not rich. He's working the same job she is, same working class job that she is. And guess what? She shows him way more respect than black women that have degrees show a guy with a degree. So it's not about the money. Structure.
All right, this is the response to Bgs Ibmor, and I hate to do this, but I gotta do this. And like he said at the beginning of this video, this isn't about any sort of personal attack, but I definitely have to point out where your ideology is flawed. And I went back and I plucked out and pulled out, because you did it multiple times in the video, but I pulled out every time he kept making these talking points. And then I started recognizing the pattern of how BGS is making his argument, his argument that it's not about the money and it's about behavior and it's about your culture and how you're raised and all that. First off, right off top, black people's culture is a byproduct of prolonged exposure to poverty in this country, being under the system of white supremacy. But so saying that money is not the main factor here, the main problem here. It is the main factor and it is the main problem here. But what I noticed about how Bgs Ibmor argues, and you're going to hear it and you can go and you can listen to the video yourself, okay? In one breath, he'll argue about how we're American and how American we are, and even highlight areas in which we have privilege and we can go to other countries with our passports, and it's only societies versus societies or countries versus countries, right? These sort of collective societal interest. And if you're a part of that, if you grow up in a first world country relative to a third world country, things are going to be different. So we have first world privilege, right? So he points us out to be American, right? Even though we don't see any of this, what do you want to call it? Inclusive group economics. Like, we're not included in many of the shit. Even when other immigrants, they come here, they don't include us. They don't share with us. And so what BGS does is, and I've seen brothers do this, and this is the ultimate dusty argument. It's a dusty argument. And what these brothers do, instead of stepping their game up, instead of focusing on the economics and controlling the economic landscape and doing the hiring and actually wielding power, they want to talk about immigrant populations, which we are not. We are not an immigrant population, even based on his own argument where he wants to talk about how American we are and how we're included, our astronauts, our Navy, right? He wants to say these things. But yet, the minute that he gets tasked with the responsibility of controlling the economic landscape and building, and that being the underpinning of some of the disrespect that we get in the community from our own women who are also American and not immigrants, as BGS would say, he runs to immigrants. He'll sit there and bring up, I'll tell you two things that he does wrong. Not only will he bring up immigrant populations and start talking about their dusty existence when they first get here in America, but he ignores how in their countries, they're the top dog in their third world country. When a Kenyan comes here from Kenya, or a person comes here from Ghana or Zimbabwe or whatever, or Jamaica, or they come from any number one of, Dominica. They come from any of these predominantly black islands. In those islands, in terms of the government and all that, who's the police chief and all that, it's typically going to be black people, and the country is a majority black country. So relative to the first world country, obviously they're a third world country. They obviously don't have as much power, but within the confines of that country, they are the top dog. Versus the African American, where with the African American in the predominantly black areas in which we reside, we aren't even the top dogs of that environment. Which goes to the second area where he makes the flaw, which is talking about, some whoever's working in some liquor store, a poo is working in a liquor store, and there's a girl that's working there as well, right? Ignoring the fact that when they come in there, they control the economic landscape. They own the bodegas and the corner stores and the liquor stores as a group. Most of the time, they don't even live in the black community to highlight how much better they're doing than the black men of that community or the black. I hate when I get interrupted and I get a phone call. Doing better than the black women in that environment as well. That's the key difference between us and them. Bgs Ibmor, essentially, he's talking about jobs. And I've talked about this before, about the difference between the wealth gap. In other words, the wealth gap between black men and black women is too small for the type of respect that everybody seems to talk about when it comes to what other men are being recognized for. And what BGS does, and a lot of the men who make these sort of dusty arguments do, is they always want to go down to the poorest of poor of some other group, or compare us to the poorest of poor of some other group, or a bunch of people who showed up yesterday. Yes, I understand. Black people, we've been through so much, the redlining, the blockbusting, the debt peonage, the convict leasing and everything, right? Which is essentially why we're behind, which people who are actually looking up the history now are starting to recognize that. Even some white folks that have made videos on YouTube, they're like, yo, I didn't know this shit. They didn't teach that shit in school. Maybe we should reconsider on reparations for slavery, because how could anybody, come up with this? I mean, intentionally busting up the homes and everything. Freaking immigrants that come here, they skipped right over that. You see, the only other two groups that were really affected by anything are Native Americans, who got reparations, casinos, land privilege, go to universities for free. They received far more reparations than African Americans, and the Asian Americans, like the Chinese, in San Francisco, when they had, Chinatown in San Francisco burned down to the ground, they received reparations. The Japanese who were thrown in internment camps, they received reparations. But my question is, who is trying to live like that? I remember when brothers were doing it, making the same argument. We talking about black women's attitudes, and then these guys jump up and they're like, well, you got 15 Mexicans crammed in a 4-bedroom house, and their women respect that. First off, most of them don't even come here with their women. They come here to work, and they send money home back to Mexico. It would be one thing. Bgs Ibmor's argument would be solid if some of us migrated to Russia and we didn't speak Russian, and we were, making it happen however we could get it. That would be one thing. Okay? But that's, we've been here. We seem to know what's going on and all this other stuff. And when you get down to the money, that's where things fail. Because, I don't know, it's like black men don't want to rise to the occasion. Oh, you're 100% right about the impact of the women and the mothers and the matriarchy, and it's a matriarchy. But what are you going to do? Rest your hat on that? You're gonna rest your hat on that, and that's the be all end all. You're just gonna, yes, well, we're messed up, and black women should accept that, while Indians and Arabs and Asians and Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and whoever else set up shop right in the black community, right in the heart of the black community. As you brought up Philadelphia, right in Philadelphia, set up shop right there and sell everything from trinkets to Dutch masters to white tees, everything that you can name, to black people. And you sit there and you act like black women don't see that, but you standing there with your chest out as though you're supposed to be respected. I saw a brother's comment talking about my disrespect, of the Most High. And no man that disrespects the Most High can be prosperous. I direct you to the conditions of a black community nearest you, where we got whole communities of black men that worship the Most High, Yahweh, Allah, Jesus, freaking the Holy Ghost, all that stuff. And the black community still looks fucked up. Black homes still broken. Poverty all over the place. The condition is not the same whether you serve the Most High or not serve the Most High, whether you looking out your third eye or not, because it's not about that. And I like a quote that somebody put in my comment section that Jason Black came up with, which is, spiritual problems cannot solve physical ones. Money is a physical problem. Doesn't matter what your spiritual orientation is. That's what they give you to soothe your ass, thinking that this metaphysical thing is going to solve your physical problem, which is a lack of money. Poverty is not a state of mind. It is a physical condition predicated on a lack of finances. And it's bad enough that, people have issues with the channels of how they go out there and get access to resources. You got brothers making channels like Live Your Leisure. How many of you brothers are over there subscribed to that? How many of you are over there subscribed to that? You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, all I hear is a bunch of rhetoric of trying to get something for nothing. And my main issue, the reason why I left a comment and then you and I had that little small back and forth, is because I've seen Dr. T. Hassan Johnson do this and many other brothers do this. That brother, and I'll pull the receipts. That brother sat up there and said that we are valued simply for existing. And you said nothing. Dr. T. Hassan Johnson said nothing. You let that shit fly just to be agreeable. And I'm like, that's one of the core issues that we have. You have to address that. You want to shout out Kevin Samuels and praise Kevin Samuels all over the place. I'm like, Kevin Samuels called that shit out, which is one of the reasons why I had a problem with the whole Nicki Minaj shit, because he get up there with Nicki Minaj and now he want to pull out the kitty gloves, but he can give black men all that smoke. But because of that whole aspect of, Kevin's trying to get the bag and all this rhetoric about hitting the mainstream and everything else, you know what I mean? He's not keeping the same energy. Like the Grinch said, keep the same energy, my nigga. Keep the same energy. You see? Shit. You out there on some Hotep shit, some Black Israelite shit. Where again, you got other countries, other nations, thermonuclear weapons, God particles, hadron colliders, smashing particles together, putting satellites into orbit, claiming celestial bodies, trying to land on Mars, and you all are arguing over who serves, which black man is a godly man.
The same country that put together hadron colliders, sends rockets to Mars, put a man on the moon, and all that kind of stuff. Are we all part of the same society? Black people do not live in some other black land all by themselves. You're all part of the same society. Capitalism was built on our backs. Capitalism was actually modeled after the slave plantation. Most of that stuff, most of the wealth that America accrued was on our backs, even up until 1963. Okay. A black man actually put together the IP addresses for the internet, amongst other things. You wouldn't have half this stuff if black people hadn't invented it. So just like they do it, we do it. America would not be America without black people. In fact, Europe would not be Europe without black people. So let's not get it twisted. I don't know where y'all get off that other races of men are basically just like anybody else. Okay, it's where they come from. It's where they come from. Look at the Ukraine. You think they're counting race over there? They're counting as peoples, right? Where you come from. Black men, those black men are part of America from the very beginning. We're actually created by America. We're a part of America just like everybody else. So when they send rockets to the moon or they send nuclear weapons wherever they send them, guess what? You're a part of that. There is no separation. There is no integration. You've already been integrated. Okay. Assimilation and integration are two different things, right? They want to assimilate you. You've been integrated since the very beginning. Now, you might not like your place in the society. You might not like your place in society, but thing is, you're a part of this country. So other races of men doesn't mean anything. You got poor ass white people in the middle of nowhere, don't have no nuclear weapons. They're poor as shit. You have Asian countries that are still eating rice out of mud bowls. Okay, the vast majority of India is piss poor. They don't even have running water or toilets. So don't talk about other races of men. It's not about race. Okay. Black men in America, those black men are part of the society. So talking about nuclear weapons, hadron colliders, we're just a part of that as anybody else. So don't get it twisted.
If someone come to the field Negro and said, let's separate, let's run, he didn't say, where are we going? He said, any place is better than here. You got field Negroes in America today. I'm a field Negro. The masses are the field Negroes. When they see this man's house on fire, you don't hear these little Negroes talking about our government is in trouble. They say the government is in trouble. Imagine a Negro, our government. I even heard one say our astronauts. They won't even let him near the plant. And our astronauts, our Navy, that's a Negro that's out of his mind. That's a Negro that's out of his mind.
I don't know what happened. Whatever I was recording didn't get recorded, but I'm just going to end off with this, and just to really summarize. BGS, like I said in one breath, we're all American. We're a part of this American infrastructure, all that stuff. But then he brings up immigrants. And one of the things that I said that didn't get recorded was, like, he brought up the thing about inventions and how much we're a part of this. You don't get kudos for contributing to the very system that oppresses you and dominates you. When other groups come here, they do for self. They do for community. They focus on themselves, going back to what I said about them not sharing. You don't see, like Amos Wilson said, show me the multicultural businesses. Show me the multicultural banks. You don't see them. But what BGS will do is he'll sit there and, talk about some, invention. Like a black man goes off and says, oh, look, massa, I created an even stiffer nightstick. That way, when you crack me over the head, it puts a real wallop on the back of my head. I'm like, so let me get this right. So you're bragging about creating inventions and tools that only bolster the dominance of the system of white supremacy over you and the oppression of you. That's insane. And this is what BGS doesn't get. He'll sit there and he'll look at some immigrants and they'll talk about, oh, look, they're so poor and dusty and they're living, 16 guys in a, 2-bedroom apartment and look at how supportive their women are. First off, and I speak for a lot of brothers when it comes to this. Most brothers ain't out here looking for those type of women, because those type of women that are attached to those type of men typically don't look like shit when you got women in those situations and circumstances. Usually they're overweight, got no type of shape, nothing that will make anybody jump up and down. You know what I mean? But hey, if that's what BGS is looking for, hey, more power to them. I'm not looking for that. Nor am I looking to put a woman in a situation that I don't even want to be in. I don't even want to be in a situation like that. I like nice things. So it's always, and this is what's constantly done. Not only do we do this with ourselves, we do this with black women. And yeah, they can be incorrigible and extremely difficult to deal with, but I'm not selling that. I'm not saying, oh, you need to get with me in this dusty situation. I'm not selling that. That's BGS. That's his prerogative. That's what he wants to do. I'm not with that. I like nice shit. You know what I mean? I want to get the most that I can get out of life and share that with the woman that I want to be with. I mean, we're talking the woman that you want to be with. We're talking the woman that you chose that you want to be with. Moving past the arguments, oh, black women are this way, black women are that way, whatever way. Again, I'm saying, so you mean to tell me that if you actually found a woman worthy enough to choose and wife, that this is what you would be offering? What a Mexican immigrant is offering, who's not even from this country? On top of the fact that what even makes black men look even worse, if I didn't cover this, because again, the video got cut off, I'm saying not only do these other groups come in the black community and set up shop right in your face, and you do nothing about it. You don't even try. You don't even try to block them. This group came down here. We must have a city council meeting and shut this shit down. You actually patronize their businesses, and then you're actually questioning why there is a different level of respect. You're actually questioning. You see the problem with BGS is he thinks it's all the same. You talk about, poor whites, in Appalachia and everything. When that white woman looks up, that white man that works in the coal mine, yeah, he may be at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder of the white system, but when she looks up, she still sees white men when it comes to the bankers and the people running Wall Street and all that shit. But when she looks but when a black woman looks at a black man, right? When she looks up, what does she see? She sees a white man. She doesn't see a black man. She's not hired by black men. Black men don't control the economic landscape. When you see a poo running around, BGS talked about, oh, they work in the same liquor store or whatever, completely ignoring the fact that a poo owns multiple chains of liquor stores in that community or multiple gas stations. He completely ignores that. On top of the fact that the woman that's Indian that's working in there is probably working for his ass. I mean, just completely ignores that. And talking about, we work in the same job. Yeah, work in the same job for another race of man. This is what it comes down to when we talk about not controlling the economic landscape. And I don't know why this goes over his head and this goes over so many other brothers' heads. I've been beating this topic like a dead horse, and you niggas still don't get it. You niggas still act like I didn't say what I just said, and then try to continue the conversation from a point of, well, I mean, the other races are doing this, and I mean, look at this woman from this third world country. Look at this woman from Ecuador. Look at this woman from Peru. Look at this woman from Zimbabwe or whatever. Completely ignoring the fact that when it comes down to, like I said, and if I didn't cover it, you're going to hear me repeat it, redundancy, these other groups, they are the top dogs in their third world country. Or even when you want to talk about black men from Africa, okay? When you want to talk about who's running the courts or who's the police officers on the street, or who's the president of the country, They see black men. Of course, they're going to have a totally different level of respect. Yes, we can talk about how white supremacy and neocolonialism is running interference, but at the end of the day, that is still their sovereign nation. As African Americans, we're guests in another man's house, technically speaking. And the worst part is we haven't even carved out a space for ourselves. That is why, or part of the reason, or a great deal of the reason, why you can't ask or demand the same level of respect until we do that. But see, then we get into these dumbass arguments about, oh, well, I don't want to do that because sisters are this way and that way, and I don't want to do that. Yes, I know that black women are on their bullshit. And the if we build it, they will come model. There's a lot of black women that are way past that. They're so damaged, they're past that. But you still need to have that regardless. Regardless, you need to have your own. You need to have some sort of space or environment where you wield and demonstrate power. This conversation is about power. When you say that money doesn't matter, it's not about money, you're trying to get people to conform to codes of conduct and behavior without wielding power. That is why your conversation fails. And you want to go out here and sell the idea that you can get a black woman to follow your leadership and cooperate and everything else while you living in a goddamn shoebox. I'm not trying to live in a goddamn shoebox, nor am I trying to have a woman come along with me and live in a goddamn shoebox. If it ain't good enough for me, goddamn it, it ain't good enough for her. And it says to me that these conversations are fruitless. They're fruitless because even if you could talk about black women and their behavior and everything, even if, okay, wave the magic wand, black women change their behavior and they're supportive and all that other shit. All you're going to have a dude that's sitting up there saying is, I bag groceries at the grocery store and a woman should get with me even though I don't have the resources to really comfortably support a family.
Yeah, she should, just like every other immigrant that comes to this country. A black immigrant that comes to this country that barely gets scrapes over here, puts his kids in school and drives fucking cabs. Okay. And his mama, his wife stays home and they scrape together meals so that their kids can have a better future. It happens all the time. What the fuck are you talking about? Everybody don't come in a middle class lifestyle. Okay. The median earnings, the last median earnings look that I had from the Social Security, I think it was 2020. It might have been 2020. 2021 is not out yet, right? The median earnings of all Americans, I'm not just talking about black Americans, all Americans, is $33,000 a year. It's probably going to go lower. Median earnings, so half of America earns less than $33,000 a year. They can do it. How come we can't? They can do it. How come we can't? They're not comfortable. They don't have to live a suburban middle class life to be successful. Happens all the time. How do you think people got to the middle class? You think everybody started in a middle class suburban lifestyle where Johnny and Buffy and Jamal were driving BMWs or a car at all? Come on, man.
I don't know what you all don't get about this shit. So BG, I'm done with this conversation. I'm not going to go back and forth. You showed your cards in this conversation. I'm not on, well, the immigrants are doing, that's your whole spiel. That's your whole shit. Okay? You can go over there and have your dusty conversation and talk about dustiness and until you're blue in the face and talk about how sisters need to get with you and everything. I'm not a part of that. Okay? Like I told, Dennis, with the whole, people going out here talking about how they deserve, childless women and they're out there making single mothers. Nah, nigga, you can't sit with us. And Bgs Ibmor, I hate to say it, but you can't sit with us over here. You know what I'm saying? This shit has to be separated out because y'all fucking it up. Straight up, you're fucking it up. Your whole talking point, all the angles you want to come at it with, you're fucking it up. You started the conversation off with, well, what about the women in Ecuador? Like, nigga, we ain't in Ecuador. You know what I mean? And it's just like, we talk about, how capitalism works and people move, it's almost like you have companies that can go anywhere in the world and get, the negotiate for the cheapest amount of labor, for a sort of return on investment, right? So that they can sell goods at the highest price, right? And what ends up happening is these companies go elsewhere. The standard of living rises until it's too high for the companies to tolerate. And then they go somewhere else in the world and develop that area where they can get cheap labor. And then after 50 years, that shit rises. So I'm saying African-American women are not immigrants. We've been here. So, your whole argument and notion that African-American women should somehow accept what immigrant women are accepting, yeah, fuck you on that shit. And you know what I'm saying? And I say that for them. That's insane. But that's actually what you're trying to sell. And like I said, you want to talk that, oh, you young whippersnapper, I'm older than you. Again, yeah, you're older than me, and I direct you to the conditions of your nearest black community. It's been like this, and it's been like this because Negroes like you continue to talk the talking points that you're talking about, how everything's about some behavioral modification without actually having an injection of resources. You know what I mean? I don't even know if you have a son, but I'm like, this is what you want for your own son? I mean, literally having nothing to offer. This is why the young boys out here don't respect you. This is why the young boys out here are carjacking your asses and ready to put a pistol in your face and, like somebody said, have your head on the pavement looking like somebody smashed a watermelon. If the boys don't respect you, what the fuck makes you think that the women are going to respect you? Nigga, you have no power here. You have no power. Like fucking Biff Tannen tried to tell freaking Marty McFly with the hoverboard. You blow Joe. Hoverbirds don't work on water unless you have power. Right? That's what he said. Yeah, unless you have power. And you don't have any power. And you're not even talking about having power. You up here talking about living in a goddamn cardboard box, 16 Mexicans crammed up in a 2-bedroom apartment, and how their women submit to them. Their overweight, Humpty Dumpty shaped women submit to them. I'm like, that's your template? Again, why don't you use other groups at their highest level, at their highest form? You know what I'm saying? Like, you said, like, again, they like, and that's another thing, acting like immigrants, like all immigrants just got here yesterday. What about the immigrants who've been here and have already set up shop? They've already set it up. They already have areas where they control the majority, even within the black community. Why can't that be your template? But no, you want to reduce it down to nothingness. And this is why women like Cynthia G can run with her arguments. This is why the divestors can run with their arguments, because of old Negroes like you that have been taking this type of position for the last 40 and 50 years. I don't know how old you are. But this is what has been transpiring. And the crazy thing is, the very person that you claim that you support and believe all of their doctrine has already spoken up against this. When it comes to young black men, Dennis has already posted the videos of Kevin ripping into young black men about this idea that they don't have to bring anything to the table and that it's okay to be broke and dusty. Like Kevin said on that show, if I'm repeating myself, oh, so you's a fat fucker. Again, exactly. So you a fat fucker who's broke, and you expect to go out here and get the baddest bitch while you chilling in your mom's basement and expect her to come over and Netflix and chill. That's your argument. There's nowhere to go from here. I don't like this. Like, in other words, like, we're not on the same page at all in regards to this. I don't want to live a dusty life, and I'm not trying to serve up a dusty life. But if your template is what's going on with the Mexicans, or what's going on with some African in some third world country, if that's your template while living in America, I mean, what more can I say? What more can I say? Again, setting up shop in our communities, we do nothing to stop them, and then on top of that, we patronize their businesses. And you don't understand why an immigrant that showed up and owns 5 liquor stores in the black community gets more respect than you as a black man who at best, all you can do is go out there and do the exact same thing that a black woman can go out there and do, which is go get a job from a white man. And you think that is a position to get respect and adoration and deference from. You think that that's an actual position to be respected from relative to other. That's insane. That's insane. Like I said, I do not have to go back and forth with you about this, because you play. Not only did you play your card, you played your full deck. Anytime we start talking about black men improving themselves, you are going to start with black women getting with the program as though you are an immigrant when you are not. That's insane. Anyway, I'm done with this video. That's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.